So good evening and welcome to the Royal Automobile Club of Australia, or as it gets nicknamed, RACA. My name is Carl and I'm actually a committee member here, but I further welcome you to our very, very first longevity event. Exactly. So we're doing these like mini workshops as a series and we're calling them Together Tuesdays. Tuesday because we're going to run them on the first Tuesday of every single month. And togetherness, because it's vitally important bringing people together, friends and community, which always ends in wonderful long health. So these workshops have been designed to be practical, knowledgeable, fun and social. So we'll be touching on different areas as exercise, sleep, preventative medicine, mentality, community, a whole heap of areas. So for example, one that we're doing next month, we've actually got someone from the National Health Foundation that will be coming along and speaking about how to prevent and predict heart attacks. Which the younger you are and you know the signs for your risk, the better you're going to be, which is pretty cool. The next one after that, we're going to have a health expert, which will show you some really great exercises that will help your longevity. And we've got a sleep coach coming along. For those that have sleeping issues or to better your sleep, that will be one of our other sessions. So all these sessions will be just tapping into strategies that you can use practically to be able to help have a healthy lifestyle, and that you can sort of check in with everybody to go on that particular path. So before we begin tonight, to be all social, I want you to eye somebody out initially of someone who you didn't come with and who you don't know. So maybe pick out someone initially, you don't know them and you didn't come with them, you don't know their first names, and then I want you to go up and share an experience you had when you were younger, when you were sharing food together. So for example, my father was Greek and we used to have long lazy lunches on Sundays within the Greek community, and everyone used to come around, cook, share, eat more, cook more, all through the day, night, early mornings. And as a young child, it used to be fabulous because everyone was just chatting, engaging, talking stories, and learning amazing stuff. So I'll give you 2-3 minutes. Any high 3 minutes? Any high bidders? Going once, going twice? No, 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. Meet somebody you haven't met before, you don't know. Hello. Does anyone want to share any of their wonderful childhood memories of sharing food? Nadia.
My Italian background, of course. So Italian passata, tomato passata with the homemade dough.
Amazing. Though I'm very excited for tonight for our Vitality Kitchen. It's just not only about learning, so it's about practical, and you'll have a wonderful experience, which I've actually just seen out the back, of delicious nutritional fueled food that's been freshly prepared by our chef here at the club, who's a 2-star Michelin star chef, which would be amazing, so we'll bring that out. And also, which our presenter will get onto shortly, there will be prizes as well, healthy prizes at the end. So to take us through our adventure tonight, we have my friend Matthew, who's not only the founder of BBS, he's also a dedicated nutritionist, and he is absolutely passionate about leveraging the latest strategies and insights into nutrition and longevity, and how you can have practical strategies to be able to promote healthy living through performance and vitality. So let's give a warm welcome to Matthew.
Welcome everybody. Again, I'd like to thank you all for coming to our inaugural longevity series. Very happy to be able to open for it. And some goals for this session today. It's going to be fun, it's going to be engaging, and hopefully you can leave here today with some more knowledge on longevity and some more knowledge on how you can inspire your kitchen for vitality, vigor, and energy. So, as we start, I'll introduce myself again. My name is Matthew Polymer. I started a group of companies called BBS, or Backed by Science, in the health and wellness space. And we're working on, myself and a team of clinicians, on longevity, and this is our the fruit of our labor. We're going to take our learnings about longevity and translate them into easy, actionable steps. So, what's on the menu? Throughout the course of today, you'll learn about key vitamins to support a long and vibrant life. You'll discover which common foods pack the biggest nutritional punch and easy ways to use them. We'll have an interactive game, and at the end of the session, 2 Michelin star chef, we don't judge them on not getting the third, but that's all right, for a series of meals that you'll be familiar with today and easy to make and easy to replicate and are great for you. And hopefully you'll leave with some simple ideas to eat better every day, and some prizes. We'll have, as Kiva, the assistant, will introduce shortly, we'll have some prizes and some scoring for some games coming up. How will it work? We'll have 3 rounds. I'm going to take you through very simple A, B, C. A, we're going to talk about antioxidants and what they are and what that group of things are. Talk about B for vitamin B. We'll talk about the vitamin B complex, what they are, what does it do, how are you deficient, and we'll ask some big questions. And C, we'll talk about calcium, which is something that not a lot of people are very aware of the roles it can play throughout later life and for longevity. So, Kiva here will now hand out some sheets. You'll find yourself a table and we'll have a sheet with a team name and some scoring. Alright, everybody, we'll move on with the presentation. So each round, we're going to have 3 rounds. You'll see there's 3 rows of ingredients in front of you. Like Carl said, some of them enticing, some of them you may not be a fan of, but for now, let's keep them as they are. And each round, I'll give a presentation on that particular group, A, B, and C. We'll then guess which one you believe has the highest capacity or dosage, you could say, for that group. And then at the end, chefs will transform these into a lovely nutritional canopy. So, before we jump straight into the ABCs, something I'd like to talk about that'll be fleshed out throughout all our sessions are our core longevity principles. So myself, our team of clinicians and doctors, we've based our context of longevity on these 4 pillars: protocol, prevention, mindset and mental health, and community. And to sum these up for this session, what I'd like to talk about are these. Number 1, it's never too late. Some people believe that they may have missed their prime for exercise or diet or building a new community, but the studies show it's never too late to start any of those and any routine for any aspect of your life. Never believe and never trust in what I call the magic X, the one pill, the one food, the one medicine that will cure all. It's strange that we have so much research, but it's becoming more common that people believe in this one thing. So don't. There never is, and that's the tough but true answer. Build strong relationships, purpose and joy in your life, alongside diet, exercise, sleep, and your lifestyle choices. Preventative medicine is something that people are quite scared of. Going to see the doctor for a lot of people can be a very daunting experience, but good preventative medicine tailored to your period of life and what you're going through can be the difference between finding something and not. So, without further ado, let's jump into A, antioxidants. What are they? They're a group of compounds and vitamins that reduce radical damage from oxidative species. English, Poindexter. What that really means is during activity in your body, metabolic or otherwise, or from external sources like UV, your body produces these harmful chemicals. What antioxidants do is they reduce, clean up and protect cells from these external damaging or sometimes internal damaging chemicals. So, what are some common examples of antioxidants in our life? Easy one, vitamin C, an antioxidant compound, but also powerful for immune and skin health. Vitamin E, another antioxidant for skin, eye and membrane health. Now polyphenols is a big and complicated one, but in summary, they're a long list of plant compounds that are found in many different things. And there's a term that'll come up later, eat the rainbow, which is a very apt description of how you can identify which plants and vegetables and fruits exhibit these antioxidant compounds, because nature has made it very simple by giving us very bright colors and lovely looking fruits and vegetables. My favorite personal is extra virgin olive oil. But I have 2 tablespoons of it a day, one in the morning, on towards the afternoon, which for a lot of people is a very jarring and strange thing to do. But once you get used to it, it's actually pretty good. And the science behind good quality extra virgin olive oil is quite strong. An important point to note about antioxidants, they will not turn back the clock. For longevity, the reason why we discuss antioxidants is to helping slow the rate of damage over time. But do not believe any products or services or anyone really that says that it's going to turn back the clock and make you younger. It's about slowing down the damage. Now, some other A questions. What does it do for me? As we said, aside from what we discussed, we can protect and promote your cellular health, which manifests depending on how dense of antioxidants you have in your diet. Maintenance of vision, skin health, skin elasticity, brain health, brain function, reduced risk of eye disease, nervous system health, memory function, and immune health. And one of the most powerful studies showed that a diet rich in diverse antioxidants from a wide range of sources was associated with an all-rate lower risk of developing cancers, which is quite important. Now, something that I get asked all the time from patients is, what are the symptoms, or how do I know if I'm deficient, or how should I know how much I should eat? Antioxidants are difficult in the way that the guidelines don't really give a specific number. They give a very vague, eat the rainbow, and that relates to your different colors and fruits and vegetables and having what we call a rich and diverse diet. How you could potentially identify a deficiency in antioxidants is, a common presentation is, how often do you get sick? Does anyone here know how many times a year the average adult should have a cold or flu? Can anyone guess?
Twice.
Twice?
Not at all.
Hopefully. But the average, before it gets a bit worrying, is 3 to 5.
Oh.
And in children, it's actually 12. Yeah, it's quite surprising. But so that might be a way it presents, or you might notice dry skin or more brittle nails. Sometimes it presents as fatigue. Another question, do I need supplements? This will be a question we ask for all our groups. The answer is no. If you eat a rich and varied diet, you do not need to take external antioxidants. People tell you need to mega dose vitamin C or do this and that. You can replace it all with your diet, which is echoed by the Australian recommendations. Eat the rainbow. And as you can see in front of you, there's a nice looking rainbow developing between some things. Another powerful tool that people don't often utilize is food quizzes. If you just Google antioxidant food quiz or B vitamin food quiz, you'll be surprised to find there's a lot. And when you actually do them, it's quite surprising. Sometimes I don't eat that fruit at all, or I don't eat that vegetable at all. It's a good way to get some perspective. All right, first guessing round. We've got 3 foods in front of you in a row, which is blueberries, red capsicum, and dark chocolate, specifically dark chocolate. Your goal now as a team is to have a discussion, have a look, and rank these on your sheets from first to third, most to least antioxidant dense. The dark chocolate is fantastic. It's made on the northern beaches with 2 ingredients, which is raw cane sugar and cocoa. It's 2, and all made locally. So we've selected this as an example of how you can have chocolate. I feel guilty. Starting in third, who had capsicum?
Yes!
Fantastic. So in third place, red capsicums. They are extremely rich in vitamin C. Most people don't know that one medium-sized red capsicum provides 150 to 190 milligrams of vitamin C, which represents 200% of your daily value, which is way more than an orange. They also contain beta-carotene, which is another plant compound that is synthesized into vitamin A in your body. But in this list, they stuck up third. Second is blueberries.
Yes.
A very, very close second. Very, very close second. You may have heard of blueberries dubbed as a superfood, which I think is a term that people just use for everything now, but it truly is an antioxidant superfood. They have one of the highest antioxidant levels of any common fruit or vegetable, and as you could guess, that deep blue color is due to the antioxidant plant compounds that are in blueberries. They are clinically proven to support brain and heart health, which means, first place, chocolate, which a lot of people find very, very surprising, specifically dark chocolate. So don't go out and buy your Cadbury bar and think it's being healthy. They have an exceptionally high concentration of polyphenols, and in fact, dark chocolate, it ranks second highest in antioxidant score, and how they rank it is in units. Dark chocolate is 21,000 units, and blueberries is 14,000. So it's actually quite a big step above blueberries, which is pretty cool. So that is the format. That's our first round. That's group A. Let's now move on to B. So the B vitamins. The B vitamin complex, you've heard of them. Blackmores has tried to sell you them. What actually are they, and how can we imply this and show it in a longevity context? So there's 8 B vitamins. They represent 8 out of the 13 essential vitamins your body needs daily. The main benefits are overall energy through aiding metabolism, nervous system function and health, and skin and cellular health. There's a litany of other effects, but we'll focus on those 3 in the context of longevity. In our protocol, we talk about a lot of things. We talk about diet, exercise, lifestyle, sleep, community, going out, events. How are you going to do all that if you don't feel full of vigor, vitality, and energy? And that's why we selected our B group as vitamins, is how can we naturally support those energy levels? And the B group does that. Now, pop quiz. Who can name all 8? No, I don't think so.
Does anyone know anything?
8.
Yeah.
Can anyone name any of them?
8 vitamins.
No.
Any of the B? Have you ever heard of them? Any of the B names? There's a lot and they're very confusing. I had a suspicion, maybe 1 or 2, but for now, irrelevant. Let's talk about the big B questions. Starting with, how do you tell if you're deficient? Once again, it's quite difficult because everything overlaps. However, we can run tests, easier tests than antioxidants, blood tests, nutritional tests, consults about B group vitamins. Most notably, you'll see when you get your bloods done, you'll see B12 done a lot as well for energy levels. However, generally these present with mainly fatigue or a lack of energy, muscle weakness, changes in skin health, changes in cognitive health, and an important fact about B vitamins that not a lot of people are aware of is they're what's known as water soluble vitamins, which means that your body can easily make them soluble and excrete them when they don't need it. What that implies is there is no real way to store a lot of the B vitamins. If your body doesn't need it, it gets rid of it. So it's important to have the B vitamins represented in your diet on a daily basis to make sure you're meeting your recommendations. Do you need a supplement? No, you really don't. The B vitamins appear in many different fruits, vegetables, and foods, and you can source your recommendations from these without using a supplement. It's pretty easy to want to take a B complex, it's $25 and makes your pee green, but scares a lot of people. But if you were to get the same amount of vitamins from a diverse range of food, not only would you be getting those essential B nutrients, but the polyphenols, the antioxidants, the other vitamins and minerals. We call this term nutritional efficiency, and it's something that everyone should strive towards. What do the Australian recommendations say? If you want to know, you can look them up. Most people don't. I always recommend the food quiz as an easy, simple, non-invasive way to check. And like I said before, you'll be surprised when it puts up some fruits and you're like, I haven't eaten that in 3 years. Probably should. Now, an interesting note for vegetarians and vegans, vitamin B12 is only found in large doses in animal products. And it is very difficult to source it from a vegetarian and vegan diet. So if you are on that diet or you know someone who is, it's important to check if they are taking a B12 supplement, whether that be a tablet or an injection. That's something that is recommended. Our next guessing round. We're going to rank these from most to least B vitamin dense. Spinach, chickpeas, and eggs. Now this can be deceptive, that's all I'll say. So you're going to think carefully, in your groups, rank these from 1, 2, and 3. Fantastic. I'll just share 2 questions from this table here about the B vitamins that were good questions. The first is what's going on with the fact that there are news reports and soil reports that soil quality is degrading and therefore the nutrients that plants offer are lessening. This is an effect that happens in monoculture farming. However, to this date, there is no pressing concern in Australian products that are on the shelves currently about a lack of vitamins from your key vegetables. The second is the best way to cook these, for example, your spinach. Because the B group is a water-soluble group of vitamins, if you were to boil them or make a soup out of them and not drink it, but throw the water out, you're likely throwing out those B vitamins because they will seep into the water. So that's why a recommendation is to steam or grill. For chickpeas, the best way to prepare them, if you don't have the time to leave them for 24 hours in water, is to try and find a canned variety that is unsalted. So a lot of people will read a longevity book and go, chickpeas are the best thing ever, like, I love chickpeas, and then they'll go and buy this extremely salinated can, and by the time they're having that 2-3 times a day, their sodium levels are through the roof and they end up might be doing more harm to themselves than good. Any more questions about our B friends? Nope.
Sorry, is it way quick to get B12 as a vegetarian injection?
There are some vegetables that there's some fortified where they're put in externally, but generally speaking, the safest way to do it if you don't want to eat an animal product is through a supplement.
What about mushrooms? Do that be?
Pardon?
Mushrooms
For
B12.
there's, to my knowledge, no. Mushrooms, you can get a huge amount of vitamin D, but for the levels that are recommended for an adult, they recommend through animal products or through supplementation, the Australian guidelines for healthy eating.
I just had a thought, wheat germ
For B12?
for B12.
You can, but the levels are quite low. Same with people who say broccoli, because broccoli has trace amounts of B12. You'd have to be eating kilograms of broccoli. And so the safest way usually is to go for a supplement. Fantastic. A, B, and now C. Calcium. So, something about calcium that a lot of people aren't aware of. Everyone knows about it as bone health and teeth health, but calcium plays a pivotal role in. Does anyone know what else calcium is integral in besides your bones?
Oh, we didn't do for the B, the answers for B.
Oh, too many good questions, completely skipped the answers. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. So, let's start. Third is spinach. Is that a surprise? Sounds like a surprise. So spinach, when lightly cooked, is an excellent source of B6. Half a cup of cooked spinach provides roughly 39% of that B group. But spinach contains no B12, and it is nutrient dense, but in terms of vitamin B as the group, it's third on the list. Second on the list is egg. So, eggs supply a moderate range of all B vitamins, including B12. So So eggs do provide B12, so some vegetarians who eat eggs are fine. But one large egg by itself provides 23% of your vitamin B12 intake and ranks slightly below the winner chickpeas in total B density. But out of all three, they're the only in our group that has B12. Proceeds on to our winner, chickpeas. They are packed with folate, vitamin B6, and 1 cup of cooked chickpeas is over half the daily requirement and a significant amount of B6. When we talk about this B group, our general recommendation is combine them. The amounts are to amount to your serving size is what you need, but we preach the density and efficiency. So you could very reasonably have all three of these together. You could very reasonably put different amounts in, but our goal is to keep it varied and keep it different each time. But you're right, it's can't quite standardize everything, because then it just becomes, I'll have 1/3 of an egg and 6 of a spinach and this and that. But it's more about these do have it, these are great, you should mix them, and you should have a varied and dense diet. Does that make sense? Yeah. Fantastic. All right.
Matthew, can I ask you
Yeah.
a question about the chickpeas? We think of them as belonging to Middle Eastern or Mediterranean diets.
Yeah.
But am I right in thinking Australia actually grows an extraordinary amount of chickpeas?
Yeah, and the reason why we make that Middle Eastern diet, Mediterranean diet connection is because it's represented highly in their diets compared to an Australian diet. And something interesting on that Mediterranean diet is it doesn't really exist anymore. If you re-poll the Mediterranean diet, just because of the way industry has increased and food science has increased, a blue zone Mediterranean diet isn't very practiced at all in the Mediterranean, in just the way that food has changed. And the new blue zone that everyone's going now and looking at is Japan. And then who knows, maybe 20 years that'll become industrialized and become somewhere else.
Do you think that's because they tend to eat the salads first and then move on to the meats and things like that?
For why
it's the Mediterranean diet, it's all about the side salad, and they usually keep the side salad and the bread as an entree, and then it comes and say with like a Japanese meal, if you sit first, they'll provide all of the salads first before you move on to the denseness of the pig.
I think that's part of it. So that could be you having more filling foods first, but the core driver behind the Mediterranean diet isn't the way that it's eaten, it's the food groups that are represented in it. So generally, if you look at the Mediterranean food period versus a traditional Australian one, you're looking at red meat once a fortnight, and you're looking at fish 2 to 3 times a week, and chicken once or twice a week. So it's less to do about, the reason why it has all these purported benefits, it's less to do with the way they eat it, but more the type of food. So that bread you talk about will be something that is made or was made locally. Now it's all kind of big outsource. But I would say, it's more about the type. And there's a really fantastic author who is in Australia at the moment, Dr. Luigi Fontana, if you've ever heard of him. If you are looking for a bit of further research into what that modern longevity looks like, he's one of the core authors that we study as part of our lifespan project. But it's more to do with the food than the eating before, but you can supplement that by eating your less, for example, spinach and kale, you'll see later, is very low calorie, but very filling. So people will have that first. But general rule of thumb that as part of our protocol that we preach is stop eating when you're 70% full. That's what we use as a strategy to create a calorie restriction. And this is a bit further than the scope of the presentation, but you're all interested in it, which is good. But a calorie restriction is one of the highest drivers of longevity and promoting longevity out of anything you could do as part of our protocol. Don't let that one throw you for a spin. Let's talk about calcium. So, calcium, aside from bone and teeth health, muscle, fantastic, muscle health and heart health. Without proper calcium signaling and calcium in your moving around your blood and your cells, you'll die. So calcium actually has a lot of pivotal roles outside of what we're familiar with it. And aside from needing strong bones, you want to keep your muscles healthy, you want to keep your heart healthy. And as I said with the B vitamins, how this ties into longevity is how are you going to achieve all the things we would like you to do in a protocol and you would like to do with your community and your exercise if you are calcium deficient and at risk of injury and muscle damage? So let's have some further C questions. How do you know if you're calcium deficient? How this presents, namely muscle cramps or spasms. So you might have a few spasms, see a doctor or a GP, and they'll tell you have some magnesium, have some calcium, have some potassium. It plays a role in that muscle signaling cascade. So muscle cramps. Some people report increased tripping and falling, and that could be a later stage calcium deficiency where your bone density. Numbness in your extremities, brittle nails, and dental issues. Once again, do you need a supplement? This is also a no, but it's a no with a question mark. There are certain risk categories of calcium deficiency. People over the age of 50, women who are postmenopausal, children, teens. There are different categories of how much calcium you need. Something that is very prominent in calcium intake and recommendations, as you get older, the amount you should be having goes up. What we find in practice and in reviews and in surveys is most people aren't increasing their calcium intake with their age, and that leads to this loss of bone density. People who are, again, vegan, vegetarian, or those who don't consume animal products or dairy, or lactose intolerant for that matter, also are at risk, and supplementation is also an option there. But like I always say, before going and spending money, do a test, see a nutritionist or a dietitian or a doctor, whatever you prefer. Australian recommendations echo what I just mentioned in terms of you don't, but if you're in that category, it's best to get it assessed if you believe you're not getting as much calcium. Now, how do you assess this from a clinical standpoint? There's two options. Your doctor can take a blood test. What we, again, talk about as part of a proactive preventative medicine is what's called a DEXA scan, which is now becoming a bit more popular as a technology than it was a few years ago. And I think an average DEXA now costs you about $150, and you get what I call a multimodal scan. So you'll get bone density, you'll get muscle, you get fat, and you get water. And so a tool like DEXA, we talk about a lot in the lifespan and longevity project, of a tool that you can take for $150. It's repeatable and it's very low risk for 6 to 12 months, and you're able to track not just your bone density for people who are in risk categories or otherwise, but a few other factors relating to health. You can even get your base metabolic rate, which can help you form diets. So something like a DEXA scan, DEXA, if you haven't heard of it, is a great tool at any age that is affordable and also effective in what it does. Now, final guessing round, calcium. So, in front of you, you'll have 3, kale, which I know is hit or miss with a lot of people, tofu, and almonds. Now, once again, think carefully. Fantastic. So one more question that came up before we get into I promise I'll remember the answers this time, is what's the deal with dairy and dairy products? Dairy products are a good source of calcium. Where we then get into a challenge with that is dairy products are also usually very high in calories. So when we talk about longevity and this concept of nutritional efficiency, it then kind of gets to a point where you can get the same amount of calcium from other stuff, and if you're eating all of your calcium from dairy products, you may also be overshooting your calories and things like saturated fat. Cool. Show of hands for third place. Who had almonds? Oh my god.
Everybody was
Oh, I may have caught everyone out here. So.
You might be wrong,
On here I've got, so 1 ounce, or about 23 almonds, contains about 17 milligrams of calcium, which is around 6 to 7% of the daily value per serving. And you need a larger portion of almonds to match kale. So a cup of kale or an average serving of kale is about 90 to 100 milligrams of calcium. So that means kale's number 2. But yeah, so almonds, number 3, 6 to 7%. What we talk about is just because it's low doesn't mean don't use them. That when this concept of that we're building on of nutritional efficiency, almonds also have vitamin E, and they have very healthy fats. So adding them to a meal, you could add all 3 of these to a meal. Wonder who designed that, but you could add all 3 of these to a meal, and you'd be getting calcium and different forms of other vitamins and minerals. But yes, calcium number 3, kale number 2. Who here had tofu as number 1? Just one group? So tofu is very interesting. It's very, very interesting the way it's produced. In Australia, about 8 of the 11 major brands that produce tofu are what we call calcium set tofu. So they use calcium sulfate in the coagulation process, and that enriches it to be extremely calcium dense. Half a cup of calcium set tofu per standard serving is 66% of your calcium value, 600 milligrams, compared to a cup or a serving of kale, which is 90 to 100. So that's calcium for us. Any other questions about calcium before we move on?
It doesn't matter how you cook it.
It's not water soluble. So it
Right.
and generally with tofu.
Question on table number 5.
I was under the impression that tofu was more soy based than didn't have so much calcium.
Yeah, so with the new way of coagulating, or as you say, producing tofu, they put it in a calcium kind of drink. Imagine as you would, and that is what gives it the calcium value. So you can call it an enriched product, but majority of the tofu you get from the shops is part of what we call this calcium set. How do you know? You can check the nutrition information, and these brands are very happy to promote it. They do it. It's not a cheap thing to do, so they'll always have it on the back in the label or anything like that.
I do eat a lot of tofu. Is there a difference between soft and hard ones?
It's just the way that it's been prepared, but generally both processes will go through the calcium setting. Cool. All right. In summary, your plate for a vibrant life. We've learned about some key vitamins that support longevity, vitality, a long and healthy life. Which common foods pack the biggest nutritional punch? We've had some interactive games. We're going to enjoy some chef-prepared dishes. Honestly, Carl and I had a look at it. You guys are not ready. And we'll leave with some simple, hopefully you leave with some simple ideas of ways to eat better every day.
Cool. Well, a big round of applause for that. Alrighty, so prizes. So it was some were close, some were less close. I think you were gonna say. But in 4th place, let's call it, was Blue Zone Bandits. Who's Blue Zone Bandits by show of hands?
They cheated. Keep going.
So that leaves our 3rd place, which is bronze. Not so good for you, maybe. But I was very challenged what language this was. Javert.
Yes.
Javert in 3rd place.
It's the combination of the letters of the first.
Can I get a big rapid drum roll? I'm gonna just drum roll. Who came second? Who came first? People who came second was, more drum roll, more dramatic, Cookie Monster! I also want to say a big thank you to our chef. So the food will be in the back. Chef, do you want to come out? Thank you so much. All this is possible because of the food that's provided for our chef. There we go, another photo op. Do we photo op? Thank you, Maya.